Welcome to the Tea Podcast, bringing you the best in news, entertainment, celebrity gossip, social commentary, humor, and LGBTQ lifestyle. This podcast is part of the UrbanWire Media Network, where we shine the light on issues impacting the urban community. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher.
My brothers and my sisters, as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas season, let us adhere to and govern ourselves as it relates to the principles of the law of reciprocity. Let me break it down to you in layman's terms with a few examples. Example 1, Shaniqua comes to the family Thanksgiving with 6 badass kids and her nothing-ass baby daddy who was out on parole, smelling like dank weed, mildew, and Hennessy. She brings no pop, no rolls, no plasticware, absolutely nothing. Yet she attempts to leave with a trunk full of plates containing leftovers. According to the law of reciprocity, this should not take place. Sorry, Shaniqua, but put those plates back. Example 2, Aunt Jackie picks the greens, she picks the KYs and cleans the KYs, bakes the sweet potato pies, make the potato salad, and provides the off-brand Kroger Pops. She is entitled and has the first dibs over the leftovers. You latecomers and leeches will just have to wait your turn. In this example, we see how the law of reciprocity is supposed to work. In summary, in life we must give in order to receive. If someone is gracious enough to invite you to partake in the holiday festivities, the least you can do is be appreciative and not run game or take advantage. Happy holidays, season's greetings, or season's beatings. You choose. All right, y'all. We are here with another edition of the Urban Wire. Well, not the Urban Wire, of the T podcast on the Urban Wire Media Network.
We love the Urban Wire.
Yeah, of course. And you know, we always shine a light on issues impacting the urban community. So we're going to be here. We haven't been online for a while. We haven't done a podcast, so we just thought we would just jump on and give you guys a little something tonight. We're just going to do an audio version tonight because we got a lot going on around here. We're trying to get set up for the holidays, so the place is in a little disarray. So we're just going to do an audio podcast. And yeah, as always, we have my wonderful, handsome partner here, Jonathan Crockett.
Hey.
And also we have the illustrious, the beautiful, the magnificent,
the fabulous.
Yes. Ethan Cripps. Come on, everybody. Let's give it. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Now, today we're going to just give you a little bit of, just news and a little bit of politics. As you guys know, there's been a lot of elections taking place. And with those elections, there's been a lot of historical wins, especially with people taking office in the LGBT community. Some of those people are, let me get the names. Danica Roem, she became someone that won a seat in Virginia, and also a Mississippi Democrat by the name of Fabian Nelson. He has also won a seat in the Mississippi legislature. Yeah. So
you're gonna get it.
Yes. So we're going to talk about that. Also, there's been some things that's been taking place as far as justice is concerned. A Texas man finally pleads guilty to murder charges in a hate crime situation. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to discuss a very sad situation in relation to an Alabama mayor by the name, they call him Bubba Copeland. We're going to talk about how some pictures and some information came up about his private life, which kind of led to him committing suicide. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about another man that was sentenced finally for a hate crime that was committed in Idaho by the name of Matthew Leahy, I think. So we're going to get into that. Then we got a lot of other stories that we're going to cover in the first half. But in the second half, we're going to talk more about how to deal with toxic family members during the holidays. So as we know, we're heading into the holidays, we're dealing with a lot of family members that we're dreading to see at the Thanksgiving dinners and the get-togethers and Christmas gatherings and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about how do you cope with that? Like just from our point of view, like what are some tips or some things that we can do to kind of make this time of year easier for those that have to deal with toxic family members? And also, I want to get into another discussion in the second half dealing with safe spaces. What is a safe space? And are a lot of our gay clubs there, are they really safe spaces or spaces of toxicity? So we're going to talk about that. We have a lot to discuss, and I'm going to hand it over to Jonathan and see if he has anything that he would like to talk about, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ethan and see if they have anything. What's been going on with you guys first and foremost?
Just setting up for Christmas in our new house.
Yes. All right. And a nice tree. It's nice and sparkly and
glittery,
very glittery. So we have a lot of fairy dust around here right now. So yeah. Ethan, what's been going on with you? It's been a while.
Excuse me. Yes, just working and living. I'm planning another trip to New York City. Leaving on the 3rd, and I'm going to be gone for a week. So that's the holiday festivities I've chosen to partake in this year. So
was that for the Christmas?
Yes, seeing New York in the winter and during the holidays is something that I've had on my bucket list for a long time.
Are you going to be bringing in the new year there? Or?
No, it's just going to be a week at the beginning of December, and then I'll come back and I'll be with you guys during the New Year. So,
Yes, that's wonderful. All right. Well, before we get into our topics, we have a whole lot of more topics that we're going to discuss as well. So we're going to try to cover as much territory as we can, swiftly and professionally.
I don't know about professionally,
but yeah, you guys get the hint. But Jonathan, did you have anything that you saw in the news that you would like to bring up?
You know that whole "Don't Say Gay" bill in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sponsor, his name is Joe Harding, a Republican legislator in Florida.
Harding.
Well, he's just been sentenced to prison as of, well, this story came out in October 19th of last month. This is on Politico. A federal judge on Thursday sentenced to prison a former Florida state legislator who catapulted to the national attention for being the sponsor of a bill barring classroom instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity that was called by its critics the, quote, "Don't Say Gay" bill.
Mm-hmm.
Former Representative Joe Harding, who pled guilty in March to one count each of wire fraud, money laundering, and making false statements as part of a scheme to fraudulently obtain a $150,000 federal COVID-19 relief loan, was sentenced to 4 months in prison.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? You know, I find ironic about this. No drag queens were involved. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it.
He definitely better not say gay in prison, because baby, them inmates are gonna have a good old funky good time with him. So I don't know, they're gonna have to put him in isolation or something like that. But baby, isn't it just wonderful how things always come full circle?
Mm-hmm.
Always
come back around.
Yeah, but these are the people that consider themselves the moral police.
Yes.
You know, so it's just funny how, you know, you're now in a situation where you're gonna have to be doing jail time. So obviously, who are you to be the moral police or judge anyone? So I find that to be very, very funny to me. Like, it's very satisfying. I hate to say that.
It is. It is very satisfying. No, don't hate to say it.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to move on to our next story. We're going to discuss a very sad and unfortunate story dealing with an Alabama mayor by the name of F.L. Bubba Copeland. That's what they call him, his name. You know, they affectionately call him. And he was a pastor at First Baptist Church in Phoenix City. And they said that he was fatally shot, and he fatally shot himself, and he was pronounced dead at 5:01 p.m. on Friday of last week. So we really want to delve into that. We're going to go to a clip kind of like expounding on this story. And then when we come back, we're going to finish up with the rest of our commentary. If we can get to that. I think I downloaded the clip for that. Yeah, I don't think I did. But I think I thought I uploaded that clip, but pretty much I do have that article about that. Pretty much they said that it was some pictures that surfaced of him on Instagram, I believe, of him playing this alter ego as this drag queen or as a drag-like character. And a lot of people were kind of like disgusted because they felt like this was supposed to be a man of God. And even though these pictures were private and his wife knew, it wasn't like he was living a secret life from his wife, but people found those pictures and they put it out there in the media. And I guess it was too much for him to deal with. And I guess he committed suicide. But here's the thing. A lot of people are saying that they do kind of feel sorry for him because he never was the type to be out here speaking against the LGBT community. And a lot of people are saying like, well, if this is what he's doing in his personal life, he's not bringing it out here to the public. Why should we even be judging him? So I didn't know. How did you guys feel about that? Have you guys heard about that story about that man dressing in drag?
I didn't hear about it. But
yeah,
it sounds like what you're describing, like, was he was making fun, like he was poking fun at the community?
No, he wasn't poking fun at the community. they just found these pictures of him online, and somebody caught, pretty much exposed him, just trying to bring ridicule to him and stuff like that, and he ended up committing suicide. And it wasn't like the wife knew that he was doing it. It wasn't like he was out here. We can't even say that he was having extramarital affairs and stuff like that, but people were just trying to embarrass him. You know what I mean? And I was just wondering, how do you guys feel about that? Because this guy was in a state deep in the South in Mississippi where that stuff is frowned upon. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was just a thing or he just did it as a joke or did it for fun, but I guess he felt that no one would find these pictures and stuff like that, and no one would ever be able to connect him to this. So, Jonathan, I know me and you have talked about this. What are your feelings about this particular situation?
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Sad that someone who is wanting to express himself in the confines of his own home and where his own wife knows,
mm-hmm.
And she's okay with it, then what's the big deal? And I know that down south, there's a lot of people that really frown upon that stuff, even if it's within the confines of a marriage. A lot of people still believe in a lot of the traditional values.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing is, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people down south that like to cast a lot of stones, even though they should be having stones cast their way, because I know a lot of them are doing some shady dealings down there in Alabama.
Yeah. But my thing is too, is like, these people are always talking about, well, keeping things in the bedroom and keeping things between you. So why is it, if people are keeping things in their bedroom, why are you digging for this stuff and then exposing people and putting their business out there? Y'all always be the main ones talking about that, but then you guys want to go and dig up stuff about people and then put it out there, and they're not throwing it in your face, but you're going to look for this stuff.
Now I have a question. How was it discovered?
Let's get into this article, because I think this will explain it in more detail. I got this article. It's entitled "Alabama Mayor Dies of Apparent Suicide Days After Website Publishes Pictures of Him Allegedly in Women's Clothes." And this was written by David K. Lee, and this was written on November 5th. So we're going to just read a little bit of this just to get context of what actually happened. And it reads as such: a small town Alabama mayor, which actually took place in Alabama, so I got to correct that, died apparently by suicide just days after a conservative news site published pictures of him allegedly wearing women's clothes and makeup, officials said on Sunday. Smith Station Mayor F.L. Bubba Copeland, who was also a pastor at First Baptist Church in Phoenix City, fatally shot himself and was pronounced dead at 5:01 p.m. Lee County Coroner Daniel Sexton told NBC News in a statement. An autopsy was scheduled for Monday. Quote, "Thank you for all the prayers and expressions of sympathy and support," First Baptist Church said in a statement Saturday. "First and foremost, we ask that you keep Pastor Bubba Copeland and his family in your prayers today and in the days ahead. Copeland died two days after the 1819 News published the story with photos of the mayor donning women's clothes and makeup. It's sad and disgusting how he was treated by the 1819 News former U.S. Senator Doug Jones of Alabama said in a statement Saturday. We live in a mean, bitter world where the self-righteous tend to throw the largest stones, as you mentioned earlier. A representative for the 1819 News could not immediately be reached for a comment on Sunday. And I guess Doug Jones made this comment on Instagram, not Instagram, this looks like, this is X. He says, "I am so saddened at the death of my friend Mayor Bubba Copeland. he was a good man and a great mayor who led the small town of Smith Station through the tough times of the devastating tornado a few years ago. I toured the destruction with him and helped him navigate FEMA. So that was part of his statement. And the article continues by saying Copeland was best known for leading his town through a tornado that killed 23 people in eastern Alabama in 2019. I am also saddened that the death of my friend Mayor Bubba Copeland, Jones said. He was a good man and a great mayor who led a small town of Smith Station through the tough times of a devastating tornado a few years ago. The then President Donald Trump visited damaged communities, and Jones said Copeland played a vital role in communicating the region's needs to the White House. So they said the city of Smith Station is about 80 miles east of Montgomery, Alabama, the capital of that's near the Georgia border, and that has a population of about 5,400 people. And so they were just saying, if you know anybody that is dealing with suicide, which we've talked about this on the show before, call or text 988 or reach out to someone online at 988lifeline.org. So we really need to really know the signs of this. And I want to know, I think the person who did this needs to be exposed, who submitted those pictures, because through their actions, this guy took himself out of here, and this guy needs to be, whoever submitted it needs to be exposed, because you're going to sit here and throw rocks and hide your hands. Now, if you're going to be bold enough to submit the information, be bold enough to stand on your convictions and say, hey, I was the one that submitted this, and this is how I feel about this, and that. So I don't know. It's just a sad and unfortunate situation. And like I said, my prayers are, I just sending prayers to that family, because I can't even imagine what they're going through. You know what I mean? So, all that good that he's done has been overshadowed by this, and that's what really makes me mad. It's like this is a man that has the right to live his life however he wants to. He's not hurting anybody. He's not doing harm to the community. So why is this? I don't know. It's just sad. It's just a sad situation.
It almost sounds like someone was trying to get back at him.
Yes. Ooh.
Or I don't know. I don't really know what the MO would be to release this, but we know there's just a lot of bad people out there that just want to they just want to do harm to other people.
So, yeah, sad and unfortunate. So we're going to move on to our next story. And our next story we're going to talk about is Hollywood production returns after a contract has been reached. They finally have settled an agreement with the Hollywood strike. Those of you that's been following this has been something ongoing for months. A lot of people in Hollywood have been upset that they're not being compensated what they've been deserved of being compensated for. And so I guess that's coming to an end. We're going to go to a clip really quick explaining this, and then we're going to come back and discuss this, and then we're going to move on to our next story.
In other news, in California, there's a mood of celebration in Hollywood today, and wherever films and TV shows are made for that point, after the longest actors' strike in history finally came to a close. The deal that ended the strike still needs to be approved, though, and as Carter Evans shows us, there is still major economic fallout.
Hollywood is restarting its engine.
We about to be on TV.
With shows like Young Sheldon.
Oh, I'm not nervous. I'm excited.
And NCIS among the first to get back into production later this month.
We got a runner!
While some actors, like Kevin Bacon, have been celebrating the end of the strike at home. Others, like the Hunger Games prequel stars, rejoiced on the red carpet.
Really, really thrilled that we all get back to work.
No actors!
Still, the 6-month-long industry pause has left its mark, with behind-the-scenes workers feeling much of the pain.
A lot of the damage has kind of been done by the strike. This year is a wash for most of us.
The strike is estimated to have cost the entertainment industry some $6 billion. Hollywood isn't likely to return to its previous form anytime soon, says Variety's Cynthia Littleton.
Companies are cutting back. You're not going to have quite so many new TV series or movies coming at you.
This was really one for the ages.
We spoke with SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher about the deal, including major sticking points like AI protections for actors.
Why was it so important to address artificial intelligence right now in this contract?
Well, it was prior to this contract completely unregulated. And the whole concept of who we are as artists and what we do as performers is everything.
Nearly 6 months after Tinseltown went dark, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Everybody wept. The stress had become unbearable for us all.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Carter Evans in Los Angeles.
All right, we're back. So some of you that have been missing out on some of these wonderful productions and some of these shows, be on the lookout. They are now in the process of production, and everyone's finally able to get back to work. But it just brings up to me. I just feel like this kind of brings up a good topic about, like, you know, the power of capitalism. Like, these people are making a huge to do about Hollywood, and we have people that can't even make enough money out here that's working, you know, everyday jobs. Like, the wages aren't matching inflation, and these people want us to be up in arms about them. You know, they already have millions and billions in the bank, but they want us to focus on what's going on in Hollywood when nobody's focusing on what's going on with the every average day American. And I just kind of think it's sickening. So how do you guys feel about this particular story?
Want to
go? Well, I haven't been following it like too closely, but I've seen where different people, news interviewers, they go out and they were interviewing someone, like, there were a lot of like really well-known actors and actresses that were out there striking and stuff, and they're like, yeah, we make this is our livelihood, this is our life, this is what our profession is, this is what we're doing, and we're sacrificing so much of that to be here to fight for, you know, who we are and what we're about, and like, you know, that way we can do more and give back to the community at the same time and make entertainment for everyone. So it's not like, I mean, from what I've seen, it's not so much, you know, to them, it's not so much about money as it is about, you know, sending messages to the right people. And, you know, at each platform, whether it be entertainment industry, music industry, whatever you're in, it should be equal and fair. So I think that's what I got from
that. So I listened to another podcast that is Star Trek based, and they did one particular episode where they focused on this strike, and I got quite the education on it because I had no idea, and a large part of it was due to compensation. Some of it was due to AI, which it's an emerging technology, and it can be used without the consent of the actors. I didn't even know this, and I think that if it could happen to them, I think it could really happen to anyone. And I don't know in what capacity for like any of us, but right now I'm very distrustful of AI.
Oh yeah, it's a whole show within itself.
It is, and I'm glad that the studios and the writers finally were able to come to a good agreement. So yeah,
Yeah, but they, speaking of AI, they've been talking about how AI is supposed to be taking jobs in every field. Like people are saying that some people think that they're safe, and majority of Americans aren't safe. So what are we going to do when AI starts taking over all these industries and people lose their jobs? Because you already see now how it's already starting. And a lot of these jobs, it's only going to get worse in before 2030. Like I forgot the percentage, but they were saying like a huge percentage of jobs are going to be they're going to be pretty much obsolete because of AI and how they can do a lot of the jobs that they're paying people salaries, like all these expensive salaries. They can use artificial intelligence or use AI to do the jobs that people are currently doing, but and cut.
Think of this, and I hate to use your field as an example, but in the grocery area, you have all of those automated checkout lanes. That's AI.
Yeah.
And so I typically like to go to a lane where it has a live human being because you are giving them an actual job. I already have issues with the self-checkout lane themselves. It's just irritating to me. But the point is, a lot of jobs are going to be removed for a lot of us in the near future. And another area is in healthcare. When I went to a local hospital, I walked off an elevator and I seen this robot on wheels delivering medications to a floor.
Oh, wow.
And as I was following it somehow knew I was behind it and it stopped. I stopped and then it just kept going. It opened the door by itself. And I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
This is so Black Mirror,
I'm not going to give too much information about my place of employment. They have robots that walk around in the form of animals that walk around.
Oh, those robot dogs.
Yeah, they do surveillance and stuff like that. I'm telling you, a lot of people were laughing at this stuff years ago, and they were thinking that this stuff was far-fetched as far as this technology. But I always say that a lot of these shows and programming, like they say, art imitating life. You have to, stop shrugging stuff off, because I think, I don't want to get too much into conspiracy theory, theory and all that stuff. But I think a lot of the shows that we watch, a lot of the entertainment, it is linked to the truth. Like a lot of this sci-fi stuff is pretty much a precursor of what society is going to be like in the future. And we've been seeing this years ago. Like people predicted this stuff years ago, and it's been in movies, it's been in stuff like that. So it's not like we haven't had the warning signs. Like this stuff was coming down the pipeline years ago. And what are we going to do now? I don't want to get into too much of this, but yeah, people better start really kind of getting real and kind of realize the times that we're in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, I have a small argument against.
That's all right.
Automation will never be perfect. AI will never be perfect. Technology itself, even though it's ever changing, it's come a long way in the past, 20, 30 years, but it will never be perfect. There's always going to have to be a human being to fix something. There's always going to have to be a human being to update something. And in some ways, just responding from what you said, self-checkout wise at the grocery store where I work, ever since we implemented our self-checkouts, nobody's lost their job. In fact, we're hiring cashiers.
Oh, wow.
But we have had a plethora of different issues with the self-checkouts. They get jammed, they slow down, they need to be restarted, they need to be refilled with cash constantly to keep up with, people who pay with cash. They need to be updated. In a sense, it creates jobs, because, when you implement a new piece of technology, there's going to have to be somebody to, like I said, guide
You
it,
gotta
operate it,
you gotta man it,
update it, man it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But you're gonna have to. That means people gonna have to learn how to go into those fields of robotics and learning how to operate those machines or fix those machines, and that's a big field that's coming up. And I kind of wish I would have went into that area, because at my former job they had an opportunity for me to go into that, and there's a lot of money in maintaining it and being able to fix those robots and stuff like that. So it's just people gonna have to just learn a new skill trade and just keep on top of what's going on. That's the biggest thing, because right now they're working out the kinks to a lot of these things, but in the future you're gonna have to either get with the program or you're gonna be left behind, and that's a sad thing to say, but technology is a thing of the future, and we have to get with the times. We have to, we have to talk to our kids and get them prepared, and and kind of like having them opening them up to different avenues on different trades. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not trying to jump into another topic, but like the college trap today, they're not preparing you. They're not trying to prepare you for what's going on. I just think a lot of people, if I could do it again, I would have did a trade that would have been more beneficial.
Yeah.
And I think it's just our responsibility for those that have kids to kind of, open them up to different avenues, because a lot of this stuff, people going into debt for, these degrees and stuff like that. They're not, some of these fields are not going to even be relevant, and they're not making you any money. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
We really could spend a large amount of time on this.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say one more thing, but just from like a customer service aspect, just being somebody who is in it.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yes.
Right.
Like the fact that we have like self-automated, people can check themselves out. It's to me, it's a minor inconvenience. Like if you have somebody that comes through with like a sandwich and a can of pop, and they come through the self-checkout, they're out in 5 seconds.
Right. That's no issue.
If we have, and we still have registers, we still have cashiers. If we have people who have a mountain of stuff that they're getting for the holidays, go through the register. That's fine.
Right.
But we have people that are so against them, and they're so convinced that they're stealing jobs and all this stuff. You have, and I've been witness to this before. You have like a person standing behind this person with a mountain of groceries with 2 things because they want to make a statement. They want to stand there and wait and make a statement about it rather than doing it themselves because of the convenience. And then also, to be honest, like nobody wants to customer service anymore because they get hit with so much anger and frustration from customers.
You are right about that.
They'd rather not want to deal with that, and they would, rather be in a different line of work. And I mean, I can say that, this isn't something I ever thought I would be in for this long, but the things that I've seen, especially like during the pandemic, people are mean. They are so mean, and they don't care. And that to me is what's really driving stores and different things to automation. Customer does it themselves because of that also.
And I can see your point on that.
I mean, during the pandemic, like I would go in my break room and cry because it was just so hectic. People were so mean. People would throw things at me. I've been spit on. People spit on me. Oh my gosh! Like wow. People are nasty because you do them wrong in any small or large sense. It like brings the house down.
Yeah, it does.
Wow. So we're gonna definitely keep following that. Yeah, it's just. I mean, people today are just. We live in a heartless society. Everybody's about themselves.
Self-righteous.
Self-righteous. Yeah. People lack empathy. They lack. First of all, they lack self-respect, and then So if they don't have self-respect, they don't have respect for other people. So that's why I just tell people, you just got to know the times we're living in. So yeah. So I guess on that note, we'll move on to our next story.
Okay.
Club Q. You remember the mass shooting that took place there in Colorado. Well, they're planning on reopening soon, and they're going to be reopening in a new location. So they're not going to let this unfortunate situation that took place hold them back from reopening. So we're going to go to a clip kind of outlining their plans, and then we're going to come back with the rest of our commentary, and then we're going to move on to a couple more stories, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with our main topic, and then we're going to wrap this show up.
The owners of Club Q say they're going to reopen in this space in the Satellite Hotel for a lounge known as the Q. They hope it will give a home to a community that's desperately needed one.
We can move on. Club Q reopening is a big step in that direction.
Edward Sanders survived a gunshot to the leg and back the night of the Club Q shooting. He says since then, he and other members of the LGBTQ+ community haven't found a place nearly as special as Club Q.
For the last year almost, we've been going back and forth to different bars and really not finding that safe space to be gay.
He's thrilled to learn about the news of a new space called the Q.
We hope this space can be a small to large part of the healing in this community.
The owners of Club Q announced they will be reopening in the Satellite Hotel on Academy south of Airport Road instead of the original Club Q.
We have heard other survivors say they would feel uncomfortable to come back into a space that went through something like this so soon. I don't think anyone is wrong or right for how they feel. You know, we've heard everybody, and we've decided the best way forward now is to open a new venue at a new location with a new name.
They're months into construction for the restaurant, bar, and lounge, already installing an HVAC system with plans to start painting this week.
The Q will serve in the same vein as Club Q. It will provide drag entertainment, various entertainment options such as karaoke, bingo, trivia. It'll be an event space for people who choose to use it. It'll be a lot of things, just as Club Q was a lot of things.
Edward says he wants to be the first in line once the Q opens, not only for his community, but to send the world a message.
It's important for Club Q to reopen and show the world that we are resilient and that we're not going to be shut down.
The team behind the Q says they hope to open by the end of this year. In Colorado Springs, I'm Devin Karp, News 5.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
All right, we are back. So what do you guys feel about that? Do you think that that's a good thing for them to try to open that venue back up? And do you think that with them opening that venue back up, do you think that there should be safety protocols, like so we don't repeat the same thing that took place? And do you think that a lot of gay clubs are, because the guy mentioned something about safe spaces, do you really feel that gay clubs today are truly safe spaces like they were once upon a time?
No, I do not. But I think it's different in depending on which location that you're at, which venue that you're at. But I don't know. The United States harbors a lot of mentally disturbed individuals, and it could be the same from California over to Connecticut.
Yeah.
So one death by a lone shooter, that really affects every single one of us in this country.
Mm-hmm. I feel like more and more clubs and social spaces now are using this more of a guideline. So we have the piano bar. But didn't they have a thing where they had to look through your bag and stuff before you went in? Or there was one club where we went to that was like that.
There's a lot of, I don't think that one did, but I do know that there's a couple of places in Indianapolis, a couple of bars, gay venues in Indianapolis that are now starting to institute that.
And I think weapons allowed.
Yeah, and they're winding people down. People think, oh, that's just a little extreme. I said, I don't think it is.
It's not. In fact, I think it's needed.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of gay bars that in Indianapolis that, and I'm not going to say any names, but they claim to be safe spaces, but you're not. You have some of the most toxic gay individuals in the community that go there. You know, it's a trash dump of degenerate people that are in our community, and they, you know, with all that toxicity, you don't have any measures to ensure that people are safe, because you're having all this negativity up in the bar. But I'm not going to get into that. But I'm just saying that there are a few places in our community that do take security serious, and I believe that it's necessary. I feel like even into 2023 going into 2024, you still have people out there that have a strong hatred towards those in the LGBT community.
Yes.
And I feel like, you know, with, you know, times changing, you know, I don't feel like we're still safe. You know what I mean? You still have these people that want to make a name for themselves. They want to go out here and commit these acts of horrific violence towards members in our community. And I don't feel that the government is taking this serious. Like, I think a lot of these people are committing these hate crimes. And then what they want to do is when they commit these hate crimes, they want to paint these people. All these people were troubled. They had this going on in their childhood and this, that, and the other. You know, everybody tries to paint these individuals as human beings when they're nothing but monsters. So, you know, I really feel that they're not taking these hate crimes serious. They're not, you know, and I feel like, you know, if the queue's going to open back up, this is something that they really need to be serious about, you know, because a lot of people feel like, well, we live in this city and we don't have to worry about this stuff. And those are the main people that become targets of hate crimes like this or situations like this, because they feel that this is beneath them. We don't have to, they're above all this stuff. So I really feel like safety needs to be a number one priority in these establishments. It has to be.
Yeah.
You know, so
agreed.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up. Did you have anything?
Well, I was just going to say, I do agree with what the person that they interviewed, like opening up another space in another location. It does show resilience, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be seen.
Yes.
That we can't be stopped. You can try, and this, you know, the spirit of pride still resonates through all of us, and it's just, you can't stop it.
Right. So I just want to bring that story up. We're going to move on. I'm going to combine these next two stories into one. There's been a couple of victories in the in recent elections for members that are in the LGBT community as far as representation. We have someone by the name of Fabian Nelson. He was a Mississippi Democrat that just won a seat, as well as Danica Roem, who became the first transgender woman in Virginia to take a seat. So we're going to go to these two clips, and then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss this, and we're going to talk about, is representation a good thing, or can it be a double-edged sword sometimes in politics? So we're going to go to these two clips, and then we're going to be right back.
Welcome back. In states across the country, LGBTQ plus people continue to see their rights stripped away by Republicans. In just the past week alone, the Texas State Supreme Court allowed a law that bans gender-affirming care for transgender children to take effect. And then in Nebraska, the GOP governor signed an executive order that strictly defines a person's sex, which is directed at limiting transgender people's access to certain public spaces. But there are some bright spots, and one of them is Fabian Nelson, who just won his Democratic primary election this week for the Mississippi State House, setting him up to become the state's first openly gay legislator. And he joins me now, Fabian Nelson. Fabian, thanks for joining us on this. Appreciate it. Congratulations, first of all. Secondly, what do you hope to get accomplished, and how, considering who you're going to be sitting across from, folks that have worked to restrict the rights of LGBTQ plus folks, and especially folks in the trans community?
Most definitely. And thank you so much for having me on your show today. I would like to start by saying that the people in Live Oak, Florida have the prayers and support of everyone here in Mississippi. And to answer your question, it's all about showing up for every single person. So, going into the legislature, I have to show up for my people in my district, District 66, and people from all marginalized communities, because when you have someone at the table and you have to look that person in the eye, you have to stop doing these harmful and hurtful things to people.
Your state is just one of many Republican states in general that are attempting to curtail the rights of LGBTQ plus members. How exactly do you think Democrats need to fight back?
Well, we have to fight back by being present. We have to fight back by having the uncomfortable conversations that are very much needed. In order to grow, you have to become uncomfortable. And so having a voice there to constantly say, hey, this is what we need to do, and trying to kind of make people understand why this is so important. We have to fight for every single person to have equal rights, women, African Americans, Latino. There's so many marginalized communities that are affected. And if we allow one group of people to have their rights stripped away, what's going to happen next is another group of people will start to lose their rights. So I look forward to being a sound voice for every single person in my district and in my state.
I want to read a quote for folks about your victory that you said recently. I still think I'm in a dream. I'm still trying to process it and take it in. It's still shocking to me. I have to be honest. Talk to me a little bit more about this feeling that you're having right now in the uphill battle you have ahead.
Most definitely. And I still feel like I'm in a dream, because this has been a childhood dream to one day sit in the Mississippi House of Representatives ever since I toured that magnificent place back probably 20 plus years ago. So that's why I feel like I'm in a dream, but I am ready for the challenge. And, I want to talk a little bit about my campaign. And the way I won election was going out into the community, meeting everybody in the community and letting them know that I'm fighting for all of their rights. I'm fighting for, getting crime under control, our water system failures that we're having here. And so it is, it's been an uphill battle, and I know I have a lot of work, but I'm excited to start serving the people of District 66.
State Representative-elect Fabian Nelson of Mississippi, thank you, sir, and good luck.
Thank you.
News Nation's decision desk has called the Senate race for Virginia's 30th district Democrat Danica Roem the projected winner there. She becomes Virginia's first openly transgender state senator. DC News Now anchor Mark Hall is live at Roem's watch party in Manassas right now. And Mark, Roem defeated Republican and Governor Youngkin-backed candidate Bill Wolf.
Well, certainly a big night for Democrats here in Manassas. Earlier, State Senator Gary McPike talked about the importance of Democrats holding the Senate wall moving forward. Obviously, Governor Youngkin mentioned earlier today it was important for Republicans to gain control of the General Assembly. That's not going to happen. Another big win tonight is with State Senator-elect Danica Roem, and she joins us now live here. It's very loud, but we need to talk to the senator-elect. And Senator, first of all, congratulations. Talk about what this victory means for you, and more importantly, how does it represent your constituents?
Sure. What this victory means for me is that I'm going to continue working to provide universal free school breakfast for all kids. It means I'm going to continue doing the work to fix Route 28. I'm going to continue doing the work to fix Rollins Ford Road. I'm going to continue protecting our land in western Prince William County. And I'm going to continue working to make Virginia a more inclusive Commonwealth. And what that means for my constituents is that they have someone who will show up, who works across the aisle, and I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to be bipartisan, and I am willing to fight like hell for our values. Because when I see the most vulnerable people I represent, like trans kids being singled out and stigmatized, especially by this governor, I stand up to him. And at the same time, if he wants to help us fix roads and feed kids, let's have a seat, let's have a talk, let's talk.
Senator-elect, can you work across the aisle? That's what most people at home, as you know, want, is can our lawmakers work across the aisle together to get things done?
All 41 of my bills signed into law passed with bipartisan support. not only can I work across the aisle, I've been doing it for the last 6 years. And as a member of the minority party, I led the House Democratic Caucus by tying Delegate David Bulaba with the most number of bills passed this year because I am effective and I know how to work across the aisle.
Last question, State Senator-elect Danica Roem, how does that sound?
I think about the fact that my Italian ancestors came here absolutely impoverished. And I'm really thinking a lot tonight about my grandpa, who I lived with for about 17 years. He had to drop out of high school after his mother died so he could take care of his younger brothers and work with his dad. He never got to graduate. And he worked union jobs. He worked in the World War. He was also a tank ordnance in World War II. And he raised 4 kids. My mom, who went to community college, so she paid her way through, and she just retired. And my mom and I have very different political views, but my mom also gets to know that she raised the senator-elect of the hometown that she chose for her kid.
State Senator-elect Danica Roem, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And again,
All right, we are back. So how do you guys feel about that news? Do you think that that's a automatic victory, or is it one of those things we have to wait to see what they're going to actually do, or are they going to keep their end of the bargain and do what they said that they were going to do to get elected into office? So how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's a step in the right direction for sure. But yeah, time will prove facts. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like with any politician, and it doesn't matter if you're straight or a member of the LGBT community, you have to do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
And if not, then we're going to hold your feet to the fire.
Call your
office. Well, first, either call your office, write letters, write emails, do whatever we have to do. And if that doesn't work, then there's another way. That would be the next election.
Yeah. And I just feel like in these days and times, okay, it's good to be the first this and the first that, but representation is not going to save us. Representation is not going to do anything, because you have a lot of people that get into office or get into these positions claiming that they're the first this and that. And then they get into office, they sell their constituents out. They sell their people out. So I don't care about you being the first LGBT or the first trans this and the first trans that. If you're not doing anything for your community, you're just taking up space.
Yes.
Because we see that so many times. Like, I don't even get excited about the whole, I know a lot of people get upset with this. I didn't even get excited about Barack. Like, he did some stuff for the LGBT community and stuff like that. But as far as your own, like the black community, you didn't do anything for us. You didn't do a damn thing for us. And I feel like because you have a black face in there, I'm just using that as an example, that does not mean that they're going to do anything for you. And even with a lot of these Democrats, like, and I would tie that into what's going on in Indianapolis. Like, I don't understand how, and this is my personal opinion, I don't understand how our mayor is back in office again. Like, I don't understand how he's back in office, because like Indianapolis is the crime is out of control. The streets are horrible. It's just so much stuff going on in Indianapolis, and like these people are just so blinded by the fact that, okay, you're voting Democrat, you keep voting people in that's not doing anything for your community, and you're so, bullheaded, and you don't want to explore other options. You think that because it's the Democrat that it's automatically someone that's going to have your best interest in heart. And I just feel like I was just looking at the other candidate, and like he even though he was a Republican, to me he almost came across as a moderate Democrat. So I just feel like a lot of times we're so scared to explore the other side because we think that all Republicans or all Democrats think a certain way, and that's not necessarily the truth. So I tell people you have to research these people. Don't think because it's a good step in the right direction, like you said, Ethan, that we do have someone that is the first of like the first of the first when it comes to LGBT people. But I just feel like we have to be realistic and be like, well, what are these people's platform? What do they plan on doing? And are they going to follow through? Because if not, we need to get them out of there and get somebody in there that's going to do it. I'm to the point, I don't care about all that. Like, I want to know what your policy and your
it's got to be
politics
style
is.
over substance.
Yeah,
that's what it all boils down to.
And that's what I urge people going into 2024 with the presidential elections. You know, we have to kind of be realistic about what's going on, and just start researching these people. Stop voting because, well, my parents voted this way or my family voted this way. You have to vote you got to vote in a way that it impacts your life. You can't, well, I got to vote this way because, I came from a line of people in my family that we had these political views. No, you have to vote for your own best interests. You know what I mean? So that's just how I feel about it. So
I do want to provide some context here. And this is from The Advocate. It reads, LGBTQ plus representation is nearly nationwide. The only states with no out candidates running this election cycle are Arizona, Hawaii, Montana, Nevada, North Dakota, New Mexico, South Carolina, South Dakota, and Wyoming. Out of the 514 out candidates, and that's a pretty high number, and that's just in an off-year election, 2023. 348 ran for local positions, excluding mayors and school boards. 59 ran for school board, 40 ran for the state legislature, 37 for mayor, 5 for judicial positions, 4 for federal special elections, and 1 for statewide. Between 21 and 23, the number of LGBTQ plus state legislative candidates more than doubled, coming at a time when legislative attacks on LGBTQ plus people in state legislatures have grown dramatically. And for me personally, I always think that it's not exactly the federal government that is going to make the biggest changes to our lives. It's the state legislature. I've always believed that because that's where the biggest changes to our lives personally will take place.
Right. I mean, and it's also, I mean, yes, it's good that they're like out and part of the community, but there are gay Republicans. Like,
there are.
In some ways, it doesn't matter, if they are or not, as long as they fight for what's right. For us. So yeah.
Because I mean, there could be people that, like as far as social issues, they may be more liberal leaning, but then you may have someone that's more fiscally, they're more.
Yeah, they still want tax cuts.
Taxes. So it just, you got to kind of just, pick and choose. I mean, like I said, you have to go with what your situation is best for.
Yeah.
There's no reason to vote against your own self-interest. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you're in a higher tax bracket, of course, you're going to be more, leaning more towards like someone that's more Republican as far as those issues are concerned.
Yeah.
So you just got to kind of, it's not a one side. I guess what I'm saying is like politics is not a one size fits all thing. You know what I mean? And I just think it's unfair for people to try to make people feel guilty of having to vote this way while neglecting. You just have to do what's best for you. At the end of the day, it's your vote. So you can't complain when things don't go your way and you're not going out there making your voice heard through the ballot box. I guess that's my biggest thing. So,
and if you just get out there and vote, at least you can say you've actually exercised your right as an American citizen. And you have the right to, dare I say it, to bitch,
Yep.
Because if you don't vote, you can't bitch.
Yeah, that's true. And I think on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. We have a few more stories in the second half, and then we're going to talk about our main topic, and we're going to call it a night. So we're a little over the hour mark, and so we're going to come back with episode 14 here in a couple minutes. So stay with us, and we will be back shortly.
Welcome to the Tea Podcast, bringing news, entertainment, celebrity gossip, social commentary, humor, and LGBTQ lifestyle. This podcast is part of the UrbanWire Media Network, where we shine the light on issues impacting the urban community. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher.
My brothers and my sisters, as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas season, let us adhere to and govern ourselves as it relates to the principles of the law of reciprocity. Let me break it down to you in layman's terms with a few examples. Example 1, Shaniqua comes to the family Thanksgiving with 6 badass kids and her nothing-ass baby daddy who is out on parole, smelling like dank weed, mildew, and Hennessy. She brings no pop, no rolls, no plasticware, absolutely nothing. Yet she attempts to leave with a trunk full of plates containing leftovers. According to the law of reciprocity, this should not take place. Sorry, Shaniqua, but put those plates back. Example 2, Aunt Jackie picks the greens, she picks the KYs and cleans the KYs, bakes the sweet potato pies, makes the potato salad, and provides the off-brand Kroger Pops. She is entitled and has the first dibs over the leftovers. You latecomers and leeches will just have to wait your turn. In this example, we see how the law of reciprocity is supposed to work. In summary, in life we must give in order to receive. If someone is gracious enough to invite you to partake in the holiday festivities, the least you can do is be appreciative and not run game or take advantage. Happy holidays, season's greetings, or season's beatings. You choose.
All right, we are back. We are back. So, but yeah, and we remove this from the screen. All right, we are back with episode 14 of the T Podcast, brought to you by the UrbanWire Media Network, where we shine a light on issues impacting urban community. We're going to rush through these next couple stories and get you guys on the way. We know it's Saturday night. We just want to bring you some news that you can use. And as always, we're here with Jonathan Crockett.
Hey.
And Ethan Cripps.
Hello.
All right. We done got our little drinks refilled. And we done our cups runneth over in Jesus' name. Honey.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
What you drinking right now?
Well, what's it called?
Found us some beatboxes.
Found some beatboxes. I've never had a beatbox before, but it's a watermelon flavor.
Sound like something I don't want no part of.
Oh no, I think you do.
You need tries.
Okay.
And make you pop your lips.
Pop your lips. Let me see.
It's a nice watermelon flavor.
Ooh, yeah. It's like it got some cucumber in that muff.
It does a
It
little.
kind of does.
Yes, I like that. All right. Is this liquor? This has alcohol in it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
This husband has alcohol.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kind of like hard juice. Get
Yeah,
your juice.
Hard juice.
Some juicy juice.
Some juice. Let me stop. All right.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Now, I got a couple more stories I want to talk to. I'm going to give you an outline of what we're going to talk about in our next segment of our show. We're going to discuss an Oregon man was sentenced for an LGBT hate crime in Idaho. His name is Matthew Leahy. So we're going to talk about that. Also, I think we talked about this story about his
a while back on our show. It's dealing with the murder of a trans woman in Texas by the name of Muhlaysia Booker. The person that they have found that's guilty, he pled guilty, the one that actually was responsible of the crime. So this is like 4 years later, they're finally moving ahead with justice in this case. So we're going to, and that's the same with the other trans woman we were talking about in the recent. Why does it take so long? We're going to get into that because I just feel like when it comes to trans women or even people in the LGBT community, it takes them, they want to drag their feet in, as far as getting justice for the most part, especially trans women. So we're going to talk about that. Let me see what else we have on here. Also, there was another hate crime that is been solved 22 years later. And the man that committed the hate crime is now 77 years old. So he's finally being brought to justice. And also, I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I ain't gonna spend too much time on this story because you know she's trash anyways. But she is trying to get House Republicans along with herself to cut Pete Buttigieg salary to $1 a year. So we were talking about this, and you were telling me like they're trying to do that to several people. Correct?
Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah. So we're going to mention that, and also with our main topic, we're going to talk about how to deal with toxic family members and people in your life during the holidays. How do you deal with these people? Do you have to deal with these people? Because I guess you could make the argument like, I don't have to deal with these toxic ass people. I'm grown. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that. So let's just jump into our first story. We're going to move along really quick in our second hour. There's been a man that has pled guilty to murder, and we're going to go to this clip. He was involved in a hate crime dealing with people in the LGBT community. We're going to go to this news clip, and also I'm going to tie in this other story as well with the Oregon man that has been sentenced to 37 months in jail for his role in a hate crime as well. So we're going to tie these two stories together because I think they're similar, and this kind of demonstrates that we're still dealing with people that are that still deal with a level of ignorance, and they're willing to put their freedom on the line because of their hatred and bigotry. So we're going to go to these two clips, and then we're going to come back with the rest of our commentary.
Pierre Booker says he simply wanted justice. Pierre Booker says he simply wanted justice for his child, Muhlaysia Booker. Now,
it began about a year ago with a broken window. Then someone burned a pride flag in Boise's North End. Days later, there was a report of a man who tried to run over two women with his car after threatening them with homophobic slurs. That man, Matthew Lehigh, was arrested on October 12th of last year, and by January, he was charged with several federal hate crimes. Today, Lehigh's victims are getting some closure. A federal judge sentenced Matthew Lehigh to 37 months in prison with 3 years of parole to follow that. Lehigh, well, he owned up to two of his crimes, pleading guilty to 2 felony counts. One was punching a transgender employee at a library and threatening to stab them, a violation of the Federal Hate Crimes Prevention Act. The other was for trying to run over those 2 women, Lehigh assumed to be lesbian. That charge was vehicular assaults, but as part of his plea deal, Lehigh admitted to several more anti-LGBTQ plus crimes and attacks, crimes that he couldn't be charged with in the state of Idaho. Here's Andrew Bartline.
Some have a lot to say after becoming the victim of a crime. October 3rd, 2022, someone vandalized the community center.
Blows her sense of security, and all the various groups who come to that space are affected by it. I was devastated.
Judy Cross is on the board.
Confused, wondering who could have done that. Why would they do that?
That same day, just hours apart, a North End couple fell victim to this.
Y'all, this is our progress flag.
Or at least it was.
It was quite a traumatic experience.
Both Brett Perry and his husband.
I actually noticed it the next day, so it had been hanging up all night.
Another targeted victim of a hate crime.
I reported it immediately.
With more documentation to follow.
I am part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's not like we were holding hands or anything.
More targeted attacks.
Nobody else should be able to dictate your own happiness.
Vegas Alessandra.
First and foremost.
She was nearly struck.
And
a driver targeting her with their car. It took weeks to connect the dots back to Matthew Lehigh, a 32-year-old man from Oregon.
Our office prosecuted him for those under the federal hate crimes laws.
Idaho U.S. Attorney Josh Hurwitz organized a plea deal leading to the sentencing today.
Mr. Lehigh was sentenced to 37 months incarceration.
There's a lot to say.
Like a weight was just taken off my shoulders.
But Lehigh's victims are more focused on what's been left unsaid.
Sexual orientation and gender identity, just those 4 words.
Without them, the state of Idaho does not recognize the LGBTQ plus community as a protected class.
We could not have prosecuted this case in Idaho.
These Idahoans have to lean on federal law to see justice in their own state.
And finally, someone listened, someone picked up the issue, someone identified the crime as something that they could follow through with and make a difference.
Lehigh was diagnosed with schizophrenia after his arrest. The judge even called his sentencing today an intervention. Lehigh's defense pushed the narrative that Lehigh is not an example of hate, but rather an example of mental illness. His lawyer showed examples of Lehigh getting exposed to what they would call societal problems or things going on in pop culture. BLM, for example, that Black Lives Matter movement, Brian. Well, when that was going down, he was taking what he's seeing on TV and in the world and acting it out himself.
Okay.
Where he started becoming racist, where his childhood friends, one who is even black, said, I don't know him to be racist. I think somebody connected to his family had ALS at one point. He started acting as if he had ALS. So he is now getting medication. Judy Cross, one of the women we talked to, who's part of the community center, that building that was vandalized, she said the man she saw in court today was not the man that she had seen previously. It seems that there's a lot of sympathy from the victims toward Mr. Lehigh and what he's gone through.
Interesting. That's good to see. About the community center, has that been put back together?
I know it was thousands of dollars in damages, and part of what was decided in his sentencing today, he's going to have to pay that money back, and it doesn't seem like it's going to happen very quickly.
I mean, how does somebody pay off something while they're in prison?
There's like $25 a month installments. There's options, but yeah, it might take some time.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Pierre Booker says he simply wanted justice for his child, Muhlaysia Booker. Now, some 4 years later, the man who took her life has been sentenced.
I didn't want him to die. I didn't want him to take death penalty. I just want him to go somewhere where he can sit and think about the trauma that you caused other people's family.
37-year-old Kendra Lyles pleaded guilty to murder for the 2019 shooting death of Booker, a transgender woman. Pierre says Muhlaysia was looking forward to moving on with her life until it was cut short by Lyles.
48 years, do you feel like that's justice?
Not really, but my thing is, life is life.
As for the murder, Dallas police have not named other suspects beyond Lyles, but Pierre isn't convinced Lyles acted alone and says this one question haunts him.
The only thing I really want to know is what was my child's last words before y'all committed y'all's act? Did they beg for their mama? Did they beg for me? Did they beg for granny, papa, or something?
Lyles will face Booker's family this week during victim impact statements before completing his 48-year sentence. Pierre Booker says he carried a heavy burden following Muhlaysia's murder.
I was like, man, maybe something I done when I was younger is this punishment for what I done. That's how I felt.
Now he's thankful to see justice as he learns to live without her.
We needed you, but God gave you a better job. He needed you more than we did.
In Dallas, Candace Sweat, NBC5.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
All right, we are back. So there's a lot to unpack with these two stories. It's just crazy. Like I just mentioned earlier about how they're going to use, he was mentally ill. He didn't know any better and this, that, and the other. Like, I just think it's a cop-out. And then, like, you're already dealing with a state that doesn't recognize members of the LGBT as a protected class. So it's just kind of funny that they're making all these mistakes, or not these mistakes, or these excuses for the mistakes that this guy has made. And it's just like, you don't see other members of society like being given that same, I don't know, they being afforded that same leeway, or that you know what I mean? They're not being afforded that, and I just think that it's full of crap that this man committed this crime to where he could have, done a lot more damage than what he did. And it's just like, they're not taking this serious. So how do you guys feel about it? Do you think it's a cop-out that they're saying that this guy, that they're showing him this mercy? And also with Muhlaysia Booker, do you think that it's kind of odd that this individual was only given 48 years and it's taking them this long to get justice behind her murder?
I feel like, especially now, like, it's so easy for people to jump to that defense saying that they're mentally unstable. I mean, like, is there any verification that they were unstable? Like, do they have a known mental illness of some sort prior to that? Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's easy for them to say, oh, he's mentally ill or blah, blah, blah. He had issues in his childhood or things like that. But unless we have proof, then there's not really a defense there.
A lot of things that people of color, they don't have those opportunities. They're not afforded that. I didn't want to go there, but I'm gonna have to go there. Like, it's funny that these people can commit the most horrendous crimes, and it's not even just against members of the LGBT community. They can carry out all kind of heinous acts of terrorism, like domestic terrorism. That's what I call these people that carry out these mass shootings and mass killings, which is calling what it is. And they're always saying, well, let's just look back at this guy's childhood. What caused them to snap? Like with the case of Dylan Roof, they looked at him as a victim, and the police took him to Burger King, and they had pity on him, even though this guy carried out this horrific act of violence. It's just like, why are we
Emmett Till?
Yeah, Emmett Till, like all these people. You know what I mean? We can just go. The list is never ending. So
I think that there are just some people out there who are willing to go to bat to protect these heinous individuals who commit these heinous crimes.
You think they hide behind these people?
And they hide behind it with a shield, as a shield. And let's just call a spade a spade. It's just hate. That's it, plain and simple. And some people just want to justify their hate.
Right.
And it's unfortunate and just outright, not just unfortunate, just outright sickening that some people just have to lose their lives because of who they are. And they're just trying to live their lives. And that, some people just don't want to be found out when they, commit these murders, and they'll do whatever they possibly can to use the law to their advantage to be exonerated.
Yeah. So it's just I just look at the fact this guy's only getting in the first case, he's only getting 37 months. That's not even that's less than 3 years. No, they're a little over 3 years. Slightly over 3 years. So it's just like, it's just I don't understand it. And then you're gonna let this guy let him out in society again. That's what's so scary about it. A guy like that, someone that has shown that level of deviant behavior and destructive behavior, does not need to be amongst the civilized society. Like, people, it's just these people need to be, if they're so mentally ill, they need to be institutionalized somewhere. Like, if you're gonna keep them institutionalized, because that something like that, it's crazy. It's crazy. So
and it's just the fact that certain states out there still don't recognize LGBT people as human beings. It just goes to show that we still have a long way to go,
and it goes
in certain parts of America.
And it goes to show you that people that if you're not a protected class or you're not represented in certain communities, you need to really know the demographic of any community or state that you move in. And if I hate to say this, don't let money be the factor of why you move to a certain place. If you're in a place where you're not represented or there's not other people there that share with your experience, you don't need to be going to these places.
Yeah.
So people that are a part of the LGBT community, you heard that Idaho is one of those states. They don't recognize you as a protected class. So why in the world would you want to move to that state? Why would you want to? Like, why would you want to move there? They had to enact the federal hate crimes legislation just to get some type of justice. That little bit of justice they had. You know what I mean? So it's just a sad and unfortunate thing. This is the life. This is the things that we have to deal with people that are a part of the LGBT community in America. This is the things we're having to deal with. There's a lot of people that are accepting these days. It's a lot better than what it used to be, but we still got a long ways to go because situations like these are still occurring. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to move on. We was going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I just feel like, girl, at this point, I just feel like she's just trying to do anything just to stay relevant and just to stay in the spotlight. I just can't stand that woman. And what I want to say, I can't say on air just to be professional. But I just feel like, girl, why don't you just disappear somewhere? Let's just put it like that. Why don't you just go somewhere? Like, what have you actually done that is benefit anybody on any level? Like, what have you done?
There's one person only, and that is Donald Trump. She is currying favor with Donald Trump. That's ever since she got elected. And she has kissed his ring every single year, as much as she can possibly do.
Well, they nailed it in the cross. Did you see that TikTok where they brought all those charges against her being anti-everything, whatever? You see that? You didn't see that? I'll have to show you.
Wow.
Yeah, they being anti-Semitist and like xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic, like hurting.
Oh yeah, she check marks off all the boxes.
Yeah, but they not convicted, but they brought all these things to the court and tried to get her fired and all this stuff. I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to bring those stories up. Like, it's just crazy that she's very much a hypocrite, and I can't stand her. And then with the whole thing about Donald Trump, that's a mess. Like, I don't know how he's on there. That man's just crumbling. They said he was in the court just going off the other day, honey. He didn't want to take any accountability of what's going on in his situation. So it's just so much going on. Like right now, I don't understand how this man is still even being allowed to run for the presidential race. It's just a lot going on right now in the world of politics, and I feel like next year it's going to be an interesting. It's just going to be an interesting year for politics. I don't know. I can't even predict on what way things are going to go because they're talking about Joe Biden's approval rating is down very low, and I'm sorry. We got to get him out of there. Like, he is just as problematic as Trump, and it's dangerous that this man is wanting to run for president. He doesn't even have his own health in order. And it's just a lot of things that he's done in his past. Like, he's no better than Trump. You know what I mean? And it's just like, with a lot of times with the Democrats, they just do a better job at hiding their racism and their bigotry. It's the same. They're two different sides of the same coin. This one side is just more slick and they're more they're not as in your face with their bigotry versus the other side. You know what I mean? So it's going to be very interesting to see how this upcoming election goes. I'm not pleased with what the Democrats have to offer, and then it's just with the Republicans. It's just a shit show. It's a circus. That's what politics is, and it's become like we're the laughing stock of the world. Like, how are these people representing us? Like, how do we get to the point to like this is all we have to offer. Like, you know, it's just, I mean, even locally, like it's just a shame that we don't have more. It's just this two-party system that we have pretty much. And it's just like, okay, if you do have a third party, they don't have enough impact to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, is this what we have to choose from?
Well, do you think that, like with Ohio, for example, with that abortion thing being written into the state constitution.
Oh, I saw that.
To allow it. And same that goes with that marijuana as well. Do you think that that is going to be an issue that is going to galvanize and really motivate a lot of voters to come out to the polls and then drag Biden across the finish line? Or do you think that some people are just going to be able to split the ticket, like vote for, like, let's just say for another state that wants to put it into their constitution, that they would vote for abortion rights, but then not vote for Biden?
I think that's going to be on, if there's a remote chance that he wins, that's going to probably be the issue that, like you said, that drags him over the finish line, because I don't see how else he's going to win. I don't.
I think
especially with the immigration thing that's going on, this does not make any sense. The legal immigration, it's just disgusting to me that he has sat back and said absolutely or he hasn't done anything about this illegal immigration situation. It's not right that these people that are in Chicago and Illinois, Chicago and New York, they're talking about now, even in Colorado, they're going through this. Like, a lot of these major cities are starting to have this problem. And like, you as the president, you're pouring billions of dollars into these illegal immigrants, and then you have your own citizens in these cities that are homeless. They don't have any resources there, but you're giving. I've even heard that they were saying that they've had job fairs exclusively for these illegal immigrants, and they're trying to shut out everybody else.
That's not right.
That's not right. So when are you going to put Americans first? And like, these people decide to come here. Nobody drugged them here. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just, to me, I feel like our tax dollars need to work for us, you know. And I think that the mayor, Eric Adams, and the mayor of Chicago, they're going to be the scapegoat for this. They're going to be the scapegoat of it. But like I said, this is bigger than these two mayors, because Biden created this mess. Like, as much as I don't agree with the Republicans, they did have the right idea as far as immigration is concerned, illegal immigration is concerned, because it does harm your nation. It does. And you look at it, we can't go anywhere else in the world and get the same benefits that these people are getting. You know, we couldn't go to no other country and do what they're doing. These people look at us crazy and what? Like we can't even, that's parts of Mexico we can't even go in as Americans. They will have us hung up somewhere. Like it's crazy that we feel that this is acceptable, and we, you know, and Biden is not doing a thing about this.
So, as much as I don't like to say this, I do have to give credit where credit's due. Yeah. And that is, during Trump administration, is that, you know, when he wanted to create the wall, well, when he couldn't create the wall, he made Mexico the wall.
Yeah.
And instead of a 700 some odd mile border, the Mexican government stopped a lot of these migrants from coming up, which is the way it should have been. Mexico should not have been allowing these migrants to walk throughout their country all the way to the United States. And even once they get to the U.S., they're being held, and then they're all of a sudden the Border Patrol releases them into the nation, which should not happen. So I do think that by having Mexico stop them and hold them, or at least have them assimilated into Mexico, where a lot of the language is spoken, I don't see an issue with that. I do think immigration is needed, but I think it needs to be done legally. That's just me.
Well, back in the day, like in the 60s, 70s, like immigration wasn't like it was today. Like people would migrate here legally, work, some would go home and then some would just stay and their visas would expire and
that's true.
And they weren't monitored. But now I feel like with all this, misinformation and like, we're against this, we're against that. I feel like if we were to go back to more of a something like that where it's programmable and trackable and like, we're allowing these people to come in, it'll help improve our economy over a period of time. Then they're monitored, they're sent back, doing it like humanely rather than like grouping everybody together and like sending them on their way.
My problem is too, it's like you letting these people into this country, you're not vetting these people. You don't know where these people are coming from. You don't know what they were doing in their homeland. And it's just like, okay, you guys are just giving these people passes to come in here. Like it's bull crap. It's bullshit to me. I'm sorry. I just feel like it just, you don't know if you're letting the terrorists into this country. You don't know if you're letting pedophiles, rapists, like, and then you put them in these communities where there's children. Like it's sad. Like, and then you put them in certain communities because you're gonna put it's. I don't even want to get into it because it's a whole nother show. But it's just I don't think it's right how the citizens have to pay the bill for these people. They have to foot the bill. And they have communities schools that are underfunded. They have crime. They have all this shit, and you're taking their tax money and giving it over to these people. It's not right. I don't care how anybody tries to frame it. It's not fair. It's not right. And I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. Now, and a lot of people in these communities, they're not anti-immigration, but they are against illegal immigration. Mm-hmm. And they're not, in their tax money, it's going towards these individuals. And these are the same individuals that the government will try to pull them up by the bootstraps. And then when they get to a certain point, they'll start turning their nose up at us. And they'll be like, well, we came over here and this, that, and the other. Why can't you can't get yourself together and this, that, and the other? And we came over here. Well, I guess it would be easy for you to get yourself together and pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you're having billions of dollars and you having all these opportunities given to you that aren't even given to native-born American citizens. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just not fair. I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's right. So yeah, and I think that's going to be a hot button ticket. A hot button topic that's going to determine this election in 2024.
So let's use Chicago as the example. Why are, and this is probably a very complex answer, but why are a lot of the immigrants being moved into Black neighborhoods?
Well,
and that might take a much longer show.
Yeah.
So why aren't they being moved into, the more white affluent neighborhoods?
Of course they're not. I mean, they really want to change the landscape of Chicago for one, and for two, they just feel like, well, let's just be honest with you. The Black community has always been the dumping ground of everything. Like, They want to experiment on us. They want to dump the trash and all the degeneracy into our community. And these are the people that are very anti-Black. Even they come from countries where they're very anti-Black, and they really want to replace them. They want, and it's just, I feel like it's not going to become I hate to say this, like, it's not going to become an issue that they're going to take serious until it starts impacting white Americans. It's not or mainstream society. Like, that's with anything that's happened. Like, hell, we can even go back to like the AIDS epidemic. Like, they didn't care about that shit. You know, they looked at the gay community, they looked at them as a minority, or they looked at them as a lower class group of people, and they didn't care that AIDS was impacting our community until it started impacting their community. And then that's when they wanted to start doing this. But here's the thing. Both sides, like Democrats and Republicans, they benefit from illegal immigration. Even though they want to come out here and say, well, we're against this. A lot of them, they both benefit from it. You know what I mean?
They do.
So it's just like, can you even trust either side? Like, can you, so I don't know.
I think that's a topic for
another show,
another time, because that's a lot of issues right there to discuss.
All right, yeah. So I want to get into our main topic because we're at the 1 hour and 47 minute marker, and I want to get off here before 2 hours. How do you deal with toxic family members? And what are some tips that you would give anybody that's, especially people in our community, that feel like they have to deal with toxic family members this time of year? You go to how you go to the family gathering, you already know that such and such, Auntie, Uncle Ruckus and Auntie, what's this called her, Miss Busybody, she gonna have something to say. Why ain't you married yet? Or why ain't you? Like, how do you deal with toxic family members or people that always have something to say, or people that don't approve of you, but you feel like you're obligated to go and deal with these people because you have a blood tie to them? For one, do you feel like you should be obligated to dealing with these people, or is family people that you choose to deal with? Like, like, how do you feel about dealing with toxic family during holidays or in general?
Pick your battles, I guess.
Yeah.
If you know it's that family member that's always wanting to have the last word, or like needing to, bring something up that they know was going to start something, it's like, just bite your tongue. That's what I
feel like too. A lot of times, like if you just stay long enough, I think when you stay long, you give your opportunity for those things to take place. I would just go personally long enough to say hi, keep the conversation general, stay long enough just to, talk to everyone and just get up out of there. That's how I feel about it.
And I think a lot of us were raised with this idea of respect for your elders. And when those elders don't give respect for their younger family members, that's when a lot of this locking of horns is going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
And do you really want to go through that stuff?
Yeah.
And I personally, I'm like, I choose my family. I may have not chosen my blood family, but I choose the family that loves me and that wants to see greater things for me as I do for them.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of these family members that just, are just kind of live in obscurity or live in their own little bubble and just want to see the world through their lens and their bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And if they see you, then of course you're living in sin and this, that, and the other.
Or you're young and ignorant. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need that shit. Sorry. You're professional.
Yeah.
And I have chosen, with some of mine, not to go.
Yeah.
But a lot of family, some of them mellow out. Some of them have a change of heart. And maybe you could potentially, test those waters to see, which family has actually started coming around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really an individual decision, and I think it's hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm. There's no right answer. It's just it's based off of situation based. It's a situation based. Is what
it is. And at the end of the day, we want to love our family, chosen or unchosen. And I think we still have to constantly try.
Yeah.
As much as it's hard to do, you got to keep persistent.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that just still will not, they won't budge. And I'm like, well, I'm just not going to get through to them. So, and that's fine. That's their problem.
That's where you fight over fight.
Yeah.
Let it be.
And you just mentioned it. You choose your battles.
Yeah, pick your battles.
And I'm like, I don't want to deal with Uncle so-and-so or Aunt this and that. And, because I'm like, they don't pay my bills.
That's true. You are about that.
They don't live in my home. They don't dictate my life. So therefore, if they ask questions, whatever answer I give is what they're just going to have to accept.
Right. Yep. So I think that's a good place to stop. I think to end the show, I think like you said, you have to pick your battles. You just got to go in with a plan. You have to go.
Yeah.
And just avoid the drama. Like if you don't, ultimately it's your decision. If you don't want to go, don't go. Like if you're an adult, they're not paying your bills, they're not doing anything for you, and because of you misery and strife, don't go. Like it's just, I know that's easier said than done, but it's the answer is just simple as that. Just don't go. Like, I mean, if they don't see you any other time of the year, they don't come around you, they don't call and check up on you, they don't, like, why would you? Because it's just society's telling you that you have to deal with these people this time of year. Why put yourself through that? You don't have to. So, but yeah, I just want to wrap up the show. We just want to do a little show for you for the holiday season. If we don't come back anymore for this year, we will be back in 2024. And we got a lot of things. We're going to still do UrbanWire Media Radio. Still working on that. And we got a lot of things to take place next year. It's just going to be, with the holidays. I just want to get a show out there beforehand. So we're going to wrap up because we are tired. But we want to get something out there for you guys to listen to for the end of the year. And
I do want to say one more thing. Yeah, because the fact that this holiday is coming up very, very quickly, I want to say that I'm thankful for both of you.
Same. Yay.
Same here. Yep. So
I'm thankful for the show.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to continue doing great things. We're going to continue being the voice for the people, and we're going to continue moving ahead. So with that being said, we're going to wish you a good night, and we will talk to you soon.